This simple neck wrap, or like I say, scarf, if you are a crocheter of Afghans, say you really like Afghans, whether they're baby or just regular Afghans, do you know you really know a lot of stitches? Because I know, people that do Afghans, they're very committed to doing Afghans. I mean, you do an Afghan, you may be watching me knit a sweater, but all the time while you're watching me, I know what you're doing. You're crocheting an Afghan. That's just the way it is. That's how I used to be. When I was in my Afghan phase or my dishcloth phase. Oh, I'd watch other people doing things, but I'd stay to be working on a dishcloth, or I'd work on an Afghan or something else. Well, you know a lot of stitches already. And without having to go and try to look for stitches or trying to figure it out. So this is how I came up with this, using stitches that I knew from just plain Afghan days, or stitches that I'm familiar with in my crocheting. These are regular just double crochets and puff stitches. And what you do, the way I design this is, first of all, we make a long chain, because when you're designing or making or creating, I don't know how many chains I'm going to use. It's best to have a nice long chain. So maybe about 20 inches or so. Just chain for about 20 inches. If you want your scarf wider than this, I don't know how wide this is, who knows. This came to about 10 inches. So if you want your scarf a lot wider than 10 inches, then, crochet, 25 inches worth of chains. You just want more chains so you don't have to stop in the middle, pull out, and then have to rechain. And so that's why I crochet that way, because normally I'm designing as I go, and it's only when I'm done then I bring it to you. So to get started, all right, on my long chain, the first thing I decided I needed a little border, and I simply did 3 double crochets. Now, I don't know how close this is, but you'll see it once I start actually demonstrating the stitch. But I'm just going to show you the different sections now. So I have a nice border. 3 double crochets. Now, the trick to this is, every time you want to add a new stitch or move to another place, you're going to chain 1 and skip 1 on the bottom. And what that will do will give you a row of eyelets. That tells you I'm leaving this stitch and I'm going to go to another stitch. So after my 3 double crochets, I chain 1, skip 1 on the bottom. That creates a row of eyelets. See, if you look really close, you can see it. You can see those rows. Okay. Now I can go in your own mind, or in the Afghan book you're working out of, or the crochet book like we've used before on our crochet sweaters. You're going to decide on another stitch. Just like that. You decide on whatever stitch you want. You ain't got to know how many multiples or nothing. You just decide on the stitch. Okay. So I decided to go to a simple, because I had been working with puff stitches. Popcorns pop out too much, and to me it's just too much texture for me. But a puff stitch is just right. And puff stitches, you can make them in any number of yarn overs that you like. You can do 5 loops, 4 loops, 7 loops. But this is a 4 loop puff stitch. So once I left the 3 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, now I'm in a new section or a new stitch. I'm doing a puff stitch, chain 2, and then a second puff stitch in the next chain. All right. Now, you can do more puff stitch if you like that. You can say, okay, I want to do 3 in a row. This is your scarf. I'm just showing you the steps. So then, after I finish my puff stitches, I decided I want to go into another stitch. And the next stitch I use is simply filet crochet, where you double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 on the bottom, double crochet, chain 1, you skip 1 on the bottom. You see there's a space in between these. These are just double crochets. These are filet crochet double crochet, chain 1. But there's my row of eyelet. That means when I left my puff stitch, immediately I chain 1 and skip 1. Then I went right into double crochet, chain 1, and you can do that as many times as you like. Maybe you want more than 3. 3 to me is a nice number. 3, I like odd numbers for separation and things. 3, so I did 3. Now, there was one that I was working on, and I decided I wanted to do 5. But to me, it was just too open. But you can have any number in here. So however many number of filet crochets you want. When you come to the end, you thought, okay, I have enough. You're gonna chain 1, skip 1. Now, what's your next stitch? You may decide, well, Jay, I was doing an afghan, and I decided I'm gonna do a basket stitch. Okay, well, you do that basket stitch or whatever. Or if you like popcorns, or you might like V-stitches, whatever it is, I went right back to my puff stitch, the 4-loop puff stitch, chain 2, and then the 4-loop puff stitch in the next chain. Then I decided, okay, I need to move to another stitch. Here's my row of eyelets. Can you see them? So that means when I left this, I chained 1, skipped 1. Now I'm in this section, and I decided to just simply do double crochets. And I don't even know how many I did. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I decided on 9. Who knows why? You can decide on any number you want. If you want yours wide, and you say, well, Jay, I might go up to 12. Okay, well. So I did 9 regular double crochets, not filet crochets with the chain in between, just double crochets, just going across, just like that, like your regular double crochet. Then when I felt like I had enough of those, while I'm working on this long chain, because, I don't have a pattern, I'm just designing. Then in order to stop this and leave a separation, I chain 1, skip 1 on the bottom. There's my row of eyelets. Can you see it? I went back into my puff stitch, my 4-loop puff stitch, chain 2, puff stitch, and then I decided to do a filet crochet just to match this side over here, and I did 3. And, of course, at the very end, I decided, because I want to show you how to put this nice little edge on this, and I hope everybody will add this on the edge. So I want everyone, whatever stitches you use, then, we're going to put this puff stitch on the edge. So hopefully you'll put some puff stitches in there somewhere. But after the filet crochet, however many you want, I would chain 1, skip 1, and then I went right into my 4-loop puff stitch, chain 2, puff stitch again into the next chain. And what's so great about this? There are no posts at the end, which gives you this pretty, nice little scallop edge. No posts, simply chain 3 and turn. And start back reading your own pattern. Now you're going to stack whatever you decided on, you're going to stack on top. Once we turn, then you're going to stack on top, reading back what you have created and designed. So what do you think of that? You think that's interesting? You think you want to give it a try? Like you say, you know a lot of things, you know a lot of stitches, so we're going to use what you know. When you don't know what to do, use what you know. All right, back in just a minute. We'll be ready. I'll get my crochet hook and my yarn. Okay, so I have my nice little chain here, and I didn't make it as, I just maybe 20 inches or something. I just want enough so that I don't have to stop right in the middle and go, oh man, I ran out of chain. How many times I used to do that when I was doing afghans before I got to this long chain method. Oh man, I ran out of chains. I thought I counted right, but okay. All right. In between eating my sandwich and counting, I must have lost track. So here we go. This is row 1. This is just setting up and, like I said, using just things we know. I've got my H hook. I could have done this on a, oh man, should I change? I think I'll stay with this. I could have done it on a larger hook and a I normally do it on larger yarn, but this was so pretty. All right, I generally start in the 4th chain from the hook. So in the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm going to put a double crochet. This is starting the edge. I'm looking at my sample, so out of the corner of my eye, I don't have any written instructions or anything. I'm just looking at my little sample. Now, I do 1 double crochet, and then in the next chain, I do another double crochet. Now, with where I started and the 2 I've added, I have 3 double crochets. Does that make sense? Very easy. Now, I decided, like I say, you might want 4, you might want 5. This is your scarf. I stopped mine at 3, and in order to stop and go to another stitch, every time I'm going to chain 1 and skip 1 on the bottom. Now, I want to do a 4-loop puff stitch. That's what, let me look over, yeah, my sample, I went to so I'm going to wrap the yarn, go through, I've skipped 1 loop, 1 chain on the bottom, I go into the next chain, I pull up a loop, I have 3 on my hook, go through 2, stop, yarn over, go through that same chain, pull up a loop, go through 2, I only have 3, I need 4 loops on the hook, 1 more, yarn over, go through, pull up a loop, go through 2 loops, I have 4 loops on the hook to make this a 4-loop puff stitch. Reach over and pull through all 4 loops. Now chain 2, 1, 2, and repeat that same puff stitch in the same chain. So that's 1. You just really go under 3 times. 2, go through 2, and go through again, pull through 2. That's 3 times I went through. Now I have 4 loops on the hook. Pull through all 4. And chain 1, and I'm going to skip 1 on the bottom. Just like that. My next sequence of stitches is simply filet crochet. Alright, in the next chain, I'm simply going to double crochet, chain 1. See that? Again, you skip 1 on the bottom, double crochet, chain 1. Skip 1 on the bottom, go to the next chain, double crochet, and chain 1. I have 3 double crochets for separation. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I have a chain 1 up here, so I'm going to skip 1 on the bottom. Now I decided I'm going to go back into my puff stitch. So I need to go through 1, yarn over, go through again. That's 2, go through 2, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, go through 2, and I have 4 loops on my hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go through all 4, chain 2. You could have 7, you can have 5 loops, you could have 6 loops, you can have whatever, however many loops you want. You can make your puff stitches as large as you want. Alright, after I chain the 2, I go right back into that same chain. You probably need to hold it a little bit at the bottom, keep it from stretching. So that's 1, go through again, that's 2, go through 2, 1 more, go through, that's the 3rd time, go through 2. Now I have 4 loops on the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, go through all 4. Okay, so there's my 2 puff stitches. Now I decided, well, I'm going to do my just regular double crochets. I chain 1 and skip 1 to make that eyelet row. And now I'm just going to double crochet, however many I want. I think on mine, I counted 9, didn't I? So just regular, no chain in between, just double crochet across. Give me a little yarn here. Okay, so I've done 1, 2, here's 3, here's 4, 5, See, I'm already looking to see if I had left enough chain. Otherwise, I'd have to pull back. So I'll stop here at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just demonstration, you know. All right, so I said, okay, on this one I'm going 5. So I like odd numbers. I chain 1, skip 1 on the bottom. All right, what else do you want to add, Jay? Well, now you could add a shell stitch. You might say, well, I like shell stitches. I don't like puff stitches. Well, do the shell stitch. You can do whatever stitch you like. All right, but I'm going to stay with mine. I've chained 1, so I'm going to skip 1 on the bottom, and I'm going to go back to my puff stitch. So I think, yeah, I'm looking at my sample. 1, yarn over, go through 2, oops, I dropped that one. Yarn over, go through 1 more time, that's 3, go through 2 loops. I have 4 loops on the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, go through all 4, and I chain 2, 1, 2, get me some yarn. Ooh, I just dropped my yarn on the floor, oh well. All right, then I'm going to repeat the puff stitch here, because that's what I had designed. Go through 2, 4 loops on the hook, go through all 4. Okay, I'm done with that, so I chain 1 and I skip 1. Now I'm looking for another stitch. Well, what stitch do I want to do next? Well, in my design, I went back to the filet crochet, where I double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1. And I did it until I had 3. So I have 3 right there. So my next one is, we'll say this is the end now. Okay. So I can make sure I can get this all in. All right. So I need the last set of puff stitches for me. All right. I've chained 1, I'm skipping 1, so now I go down here. Make sure I'm skipping 1. Yep, I see it right there. I'm going to do a puff stitch, yarn over, go through, pull up, go through. That's the second time. You got to go through 3 times to make this 4 loop. Go through 2 stitches. Now I have 4 loops on the hook. Pull through all 4, chain 2, 1, 2. All right, and let's go again. Go through, pull up, go through. That's the second time. 1 more. Third time, pull through the 2 stitches. I have 4 left. Now watch. Pull through all 4. And now, normally you'd go to maybe skip 1 or 2 chains, and you do a double crochet or 2 or 3 double crochets to match this opposite end. If you were making a napkin, right? That you're working. Okay. Well, this one you don't. As soon as you finish this puff stitch, and I hope everybody puts a puff stitch on the end to have this nice neck, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now simply turn the work. And from this point on, this is row 2, you will be just keep working row 2, you back and forth, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and all you're going to do is stack things on top of what you have already designed. So as soon as I chain 3 and turn, I look for this space between my puff stitches, the chain 2 space. I will put a puff stitch there. Go pull through all 4 loops, chain 2, 1, 1, 2. I need the second part of the puff stitch. Pull through all 4 loops. What do we have to do? Chain 1. Now I go right to the filet crochet. I'm stacking now. I'm reading my own creation, what I have made. Chain 1. Pull up some yarn. Okay, I say I need to put 1 on top of this one. Chain 1. I need to put 1 on top of this one. Chain 1. That's making my eyelet. Now I need to stack a puff stitch on top of this one. So now I can just I'm going to just start working across. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, pull through 2, 4 loops, chain 1. Now on this little on this little small demonstration that I'm doing, I only had like 5 just regular double crochets. So I'm just going to stack those on top of each other. I'm just reading what I have put on here. If you had shells, you'd be stacking shells. If you had V-stitches, you'd be doing V-stitches. If you had the first row of a basket stitch, you'd be doing the second row of the basket stitch. Chain 1. Now I have a puff stitch on top of a puff stitch. So I have to go back into this. 1, 2, 1 more. 3, 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, oops, I went too many. 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, go through all 4. Chain 2, let's go again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now I'm working across my own pattern. And you can have fun just designing, okay, just using this simple method of just a chain. All right, this is the fillet, so I need to chain 1, go to the next double crochet, chain 1, go to the next, double crochet, chain 1. Now I'm up to the last, I'm up to almost the end, so I have a puff stitch here, so I have to stack 1 on top. Then chain 2, a second puff stitch for me. Go through 4, oops. Chain 1, oops, because I'm leaving that stitch, and I'm going to end with a double crochet in that stitch, no chain in between. I'm just reading my own stitches, and then of course 1 into this post. Now chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn the work, and we're right back at it. Reading our own work, stacking on top. Double crochet on top of a double crochet here. Chain 1. What's my next stitch? A puff stitch. And I will continue to work across. And when I get to this end, I will puff stitch on top of this puff stitch. There is no post. You simply chain 3 and turn the work. And voila! And that is the beginning of this simple use what you know. When you don't know what to do, just use what you know. So, the colors that I have here are charcoal. I'll open it up. Do you recognize it now when I show it to you? That it's the same lace from Jay's Crochet Helping Hand shawl. The lace shawl we just, if you did the crochet one, it's the one we just finished. Okay, that's Red Heart Soft Charcoal. This is Red Heart Soft Teal. And I'll just open it up. Is that pretty? Look at that. See? Same stitch, but we're just going to create something new to save a lot of time, money, and you'll get things done. The last one, this one is called, this is Red Heart Soft, and it's Berry. Red Heart Soft Berry. Aren't those beautiful? Look at those colors. Look at that. And then you have this lace right in the center to make these beautiful, warm, and just really pretty cowls. Now, isn't that pretty? Okay, so we're just simply going to go back, revisit the stitch that we already know, that I've already shared with you in the previous video. And of course, I am going to be working in real time. And this is the same yarn. This is Karen's, this is Red Heart Soft. I've got to get the name of it, people. Let's see, probably Off-White. This is the same yarn, Red Heart Soft, Off-White. That's what I'm going to be working in. And as you can see, I've already got some of it started because I wanted to make sure you knew how to end everything. So I'll be working in real time. I have the back marked. And then I'll show you, once I'm finished, I'll show you my little pretty charm candy once I'm done. Well, what do you think about it? Taking something that you already know, I've already shared it, putting something new, a new twist on it, and I'm telling you, a week before Christmas, you won't even be sweating. You'll be all done. Well, let's get started. Okay, now, like I said, we just worked this stitch in Jay's Crochet Helping Hand Shawl. And this is the book that this particular stitch came out of, by Darla Sims. And I used her, let's see, I used her number 78 Alliance. So I'm simply going to use this stitch again. And then I'm going to add something to it so that we can design our own, cowl. So, I'm going to put my book back. I'm going to use some practice yarn. I'm just going to make a long chain as we normally do. I'm using the pattern we will use on the real yarn. It's hook I, an I hook, but for practice I'm just using this J so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just making a long chain, about 20 inches maybe, I don't know. Just a chain, and whatever we don't use, remember, we always just take a loose. Okay, alright, I've got this pattern sewed down. I think I can still remember it. Alright, I think I have enough chains here. So, to get started, I simply want to, in the fourth chain from the hook, and if you count the top strand of each stitch, 1, 2, 3, in the fourth chain from the hook, I will do a double crochet. Alright, so now I have 2. We count that as a double crochet, and then number 2. Alright, I'm going to go across to 7 more. 3, 4, in the next chain, 5, just continue across, double crocheting, 6, 7, 8. I want a total of 9 double crochets. Count in the beginning. So let me just stop and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I need 1 more in the next chain, an extra double crochet. So now I have just plain 9 simple double crochets on my long chain. Now, this is my part. This is where I'm designing the pattern. Now, I'm going to do the stitch. And the stitch, after I do 9 double crochets, okay, and this is just a one-size-fit-all, so you don't have to worry about anything, and there's not really a gauge or anything. So I am going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to skip 4 chains on the bottom, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 4. In the next chain I will do a single crochet. Now chain 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. Now in that same space, that little opening at the bottom, I'm going to add 3 more double crochets, and I'll kind of grab the bottom of the stitch so it won't pull the hole so large. So that's 1, grab it at the bottom, 2, 1 more, hold it, 3. Okay, so now I'm going to get me a little more yarn here. Now I'm going to skip 4 chains on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the next chain I will do a double crochet, chain 1, and then add another double crochet in that same stitch. That's our V-stitch. Okay, now I will chain 3. After a V-stitch I chain 3, so 1, 2, and 3. Alright, but on the bottom I'm going to skip 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the next chain I will do a single crochet. Just a single crochet. Okay, now chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And in that same little space we just did the single crochet, we're going to add 3 more double crochets. So 1, this is exactly the same pattern. 2, if you did the crocheted shawl, helping's hand shawl, 3. Okay. Alright, now skip 4 chains on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the next chain give me a double crochet. We're making the V-stitch, chain 1, and add another double crochet there. Alright, look familiar? Okay, at the end of a V-stitch, right there you see the V. Alright, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're getting ready to end her part of the pattern. I'm going to skip over. Let me look at it. Take a look so you can see what we're doing. Okay, we're going to skip over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip 4 chains. In the next one, give me a single crochet. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Like I said, I'm doing this with a J so that it really stands out so that you can see it, hopefully. Alright, so we've just chain 3 right there. Now I'm going back in that same little opening, that same space, and add the 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Alright. Here is her pattern. I added these double crochets, the 9 double crochets to start with. I've put 3, by counting these points, 3 repeats of her pattern. Of course, you can do more repeats if you like, you know, but this is how, what I use. So, now, after I finish, then I'm going to count over 4. I'm going to skip over 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 4. And in this next chain, we would do a V-stitch, but instead I'm going to add, I'm stopping her pattern, and I'm going to start my double crochets to match this end. So if I had 9 double crochets on this end, I need 9 on this end. So let's go. 1, 2, in every chain. 3, 4, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, and number 9. But I'm going to count, make sure that this end matches my beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And on this side I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we've got a match. All right. So now all this extra chain we will just undo. You can just cut it off about an inch or two from the work, and eventually at the end, though I wouldn't do it till you're completely done, and then you just slowly unravel, follow the yarn back, and put a knot. All right, so to stop the pattern and to start this cowl, okay, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. There's a bad place on my yarn, but this is just practice, so. And turn the work. Chain 3 and turn the work. And then immediately I'm going to stop and grab my yarn needle with some very bright yarn, and I'm going to go ahead and mark this side as the back side, just so that I will have it, and I will eventually move it up. But I want to go ahead and do it right now because I always seem to forget. So I just go ahead and do it. That way we don't have any problems. You know exactly the right side from the wrong side, or the right side from the back side. All right. And of course you can take your scissors and just cut some of this excess off. Like I said, we'll move it up a little later. But immediately I know that this is the wrong side. All right. To turn, I chain 3, and now I'm going to turn, and now we're just going to follow the pattern. As soon as I turn, don't go into that very first. You don't want to go into the first stitch. That's when you increase something. You just skip over that one and go into this one right here. You see the difference? Just simply go in there and follow the pattern back. I'm going to double crochet. You should have 9 on every row. Or if you wanted more, I mean, if you're, you're blessed enough to have a long neck, maybe you want to go 10 or 11. You can add whatever you want to this part. This is the part we're adding to make this pattern. And we're putting the lace right in the middle. Okay, so I'm up to, all right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. Now, all we have to do, if you remember, to get over to this large space. Now we're working in this large space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Single crochet to connect. 1 single crochet in that space. Now, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And in that same large space right there, I'm going to add 3 double crochets. That's 1. That's 2 and 3. Okay, I need to get over now to this V-stitch right there. Can you see it? You simply yarn over. You don't have to add any. You don't have to do any chain 1s or anything. You simply yarn over, double crochet into the V-stitch. Now chain 1, then double crochet again into that same V-stitch. So now they're going to stack on top of each other. Can you see that? Okay, to get to this large space again, we always chain 1, 2, 3, single crochet to connect it. Now chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And in that same large space, I need 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now I see that I need to get to a V-stitch right there. Yarn over, double crochet, chain 1, go back into the same stitch, double crochet. That one is stacked on top. To get to this large space here, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Now, single crochet to connect, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochets here. Let's go. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now, we're coming up to where we want to end the pattern and go into the part that I'm adding to create this cowl. And I simply yarn over, and I just reach all the way over to the first double crochet, and I add a double crochet there and across. So let's go. That's 1, 2. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we'll put the 9th double crochet into the post as we normally end a row. Number 9, and we get to the end and we simply chain 3. 1, 2, 3, turn the work, and it's the same repeat. And there you have the beginning of this beautiful week before Christmas cowl. Since I never did really give it a name, so it's the week before Christmas. So now you have that beginning. And you see that it lines up and everything stacks on top in the center, because that's the pattern, the stitch, not a pattern, but it's the stitch. And now we're adding this side, and let me just get the original. In fact, let me just show you the one that I've gotten up so that you can see where we're going. I like to know where we're going. Sometimes that helps when I see it. Okay, so now you see I have the 9 stitches, 9 double crochets on each side, and then I have the pattern right in the center. So for this, for you to work this, it works out that it will take the whole skein. Let me just get a skein. This one whole skein of Red Heart Soft, whichever color you pick out, work it till you use the whole skein. This is the perfect project. It works up. Once you get near the end of the skein, you want to leave at least, there's no way to tell you, how much to leave, but I want a wad of it. You need some so that I can show you how to finish the last row, and then of course you need some to sew. And if you only have one skein, then you need to pay attention, but leave quite a bit of yarn. I'd say about 3 yards maybe, just to make sure you have enough. So does that make sense? So we're going here to here, and I will see you back once you have, and don't forget, be sure to move your mark up or whatever. Make sure you mark the back side, the wrong side. And then continue on, following the pattern. It's the same row, same pattern. Stitch all the way up. Isn't that pretty? Okay. You work a while, and then I will show you how to end, and then we just have to sew it together. Be sure to have a yarn needle. Okay. Have fun. We're almost there. Now, isn't this a quick idea? See, it's something we've already shared. We've already done. And it's going to be beautiful and quick. All right. See you back. Okay, so I've used up just about all the yarn. Of course, I saved myself a little bit to sew, and that's just a matter of preference. If you want a longer cowl and it will take you, if you have an extra skein, you can go even longer. But like I said, I use the whole skein except for maybe a couple of yards that I left at the very end to finish off our last row and to do our sewing. So I'm on the front side. I know that I'm on the front side because remember I have the back side marked. Don't take that yarn out until the very end, until you're completely done. So you'll always know which is the front. So I'm on the front side and I'm ready to, I want to make this my last row. But when you can see there's a difference, here's the row, here's the beginning of our piece, and it's smooth because we started with a chain, so you can see that it's smooth. But if we don't smooth this last row out, you see it has these little shells sticking up. So we need to smooth this out so that we can sew it to the other end to make the tube for our cowl. So I'm just finishing up, and I am putting in my first 9 double crochets of the pattern. Now I'm up to where I need to chain 3. So I chain 1, 2, 3, and I go into this large space right there. Single crochet, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, if we were continuing the pattern, we'd turn and go 3 double crochets into that same space, but we want to end and smooth it all out. So I skip that, and then I simply do a double crochet into this V-stitch right there. So I go into the V-stitch, the double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. Okay, now to get to this large space again. Alright, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're just changing the pattern just enough to get things so we can smooth this row out. Single crochet now. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Skip the 3 double crochets there and go right into our V-stitch right there. Right there. So double crochet. Chain 1. Double crochet. See, it's looking, see how it's looking? Okay. All right, I need to get to this large space there as we get into the end, so I need to chain 1, 2, 3. I go into that large space and I single crochet, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, the only thing I have left are the 9 double crochets. So I go right into my double crochet stitch, right there 2. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's number 8, and 9 we will put into the post, and we are done. So now you look at the edge. And this is much easier to sew and to have a nice seam, to have them both, just flat across the top. All right, so then you can pull your yarn through that last loop and then simply put it on a yarn needle. Oh, I got a knot. So just, look, I get right to the end and want to get a knot. Just pull it through. Okay, so then now look, watch. This is what I do. Now, I know this is the right side because here's my wrong side yarn there. I simply turn the 2 wrong side edges together. I use this yarn that I had left over, and I am going to do just a whip stitch and put those 2 edges together, and then of course you can turn it back to the right side. But I won't take time to sew. I'm so excited because I want to show you the little charm candy that I made to go with this one. I hope this is showing up. I'm going to put it up real close to the camera. Look at that. I found these beautiful beads. Look, there's an angel wing. There's some extra beads on this side that I put, and it's just a jump ring and a lobster clasp. I found those. Oh, Joann's had 60% off on their beads. I didn't need any more beads. I'm not a bead person, but I'm telling you, I could not pass 60%. And voila, I said, okay, I'm going to start using these beads. So here's my first little charm candy for these really pretty caps. Let me get the other colors out too right now so we can just kind of look at them one more time. Because this is my last project for the year. And these are real gifts. These are not just for the camera. These are gifts, you know, that I'm making for my friends. The two ladies that did us some cakes last year. And I just wanted to get ahead and surprise them. So, what do you think of Jay's? It really didn't have a name. Week before Christmas. Oh, lace cowl. Aren't they pretty? With charm candy.